What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are coming to you live from a couple of places on the internet. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Maybe you're listening later, wherever you get your podcasts. It's all good on this freezing Tuesday. I don't know about you guys, but I'm cold.
Yeah. I can tell, and you're stuttering a little bit.
I am.
Is that related to the cold? Oh,
no,
interesting.
it's unrelated. I have a stutter. Yeah, I have. You guys can't see it because it's below here, but I'm all wrapped up in a blanket right below.
Your transformation into an old man is complete. You have a blanket on your lap.
Or Professor X. Okay, maybe it's like
sort of old, also. not famously young.
All right, fair enough. Maybe the Vulture, huh? What about that?
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Yeah, he turned his blanket into wings.
Yeah, exactly. In that famous Amazing Spider-Man story. Well, listen, guys, we have a great show for you. We're going to warm you up with some hot comic book talk.
There we go.
Starting off with our first guest, he is one of the creators behind ODB, a Lyrical Ruckus in the City, which came out. Well, it's out now from Oni Press. They got an event coming up next week we're going to chat about. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Robinson. Chris, welcome. Hello.
Hey,
guys.
How are you?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for coming out. This project is so cool. It came out, I believe, in November of last year. And it's you and a bunch of other creators. Forgive me if I'm framing this the wrong way, but telling stories in the world of ODB is how I describe it, kind of. Or just like inspired by, and go ahead. You're sort of nodding like, well, you're wrong.
No, that's close enough, honestly. It's, in the world, not of ODB, but inspired by, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. It's, it's not a biography. It's not telling stories that happen to him for real. There's like a pirate ship in the first couple of pages. So these are not real events of his life or anything. But we wanted to just, embrace the chaos of ODB. If whether, if you guys are familiar with ODB or not, but he's a very chaotic guy in terms, but in a fun way. Right.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to live that, embrace that. And the story, there's 5 different stories, and they run the gamut of genres and all types of stuff. So yeah.
Why now, outside of the sort of chaotic nature of ODB, is that what drew you to him as the featured star here?
I mean, it wasn't, I was approached with the project. So it wasn't my, I wasn't struck by ODB lightning or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. But I was going to say, you have a pretty impactful story here in the book that's sort of, at least the way that it's framed, maybe I read it wrong in the back matter, but it seems like a lot of this was framed around your story. It's sort of spreading out from there.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean,
well,
I wouldn't say
that.
That's an interesting read. It's definitely an anthology. I don't know. We're burying the lead, but it's 5 different stories that are all told by different folks, different writers, different artists. They all have a very different look and emotion and tone to them, right? And I don't think of mine as being the anchor story. I think that it's a pretty. I've done a lot of anthologies. We're here to talk about ODB, but if you look at my comics I've done in the past, tons and tons of anthologies. I think this is maybe the best, the most well balanced. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't know. I would not personally say I am the anchor story, but also maybe I'm just I'm too
You're sharing.
Well,
yeah, I'm sharing the wealth here. So
you got cut off. You were gonna tell us how you were approached. What was the pitch to
sure.
you? Hey, do you love Wu-Tang? You got stories. How did it go?
100%. It was the good folks at Oni Press were familiar that I have done lots of anthology stories around music or musicians or that type of thing. A lot of back at when I was a Marvel editor and a long time ago, I did like the whole hip hop variant program, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Those variant covers were awesome.
They lit the shops on fire for a time. It was very cool.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like it's part of my brand, I guess, to like combine music and comics in different ways. And they said, hey, we're doing this we're doing ODB as a graphic novel. The folks who have the license, Four Screens Management, who works very closely with his estate, his family, like his wife and kids, basically. They have a vision, and you're very good at like pulling out these visions. So like we started from there, and we just worked backwards into what does it mean, like what does ODB feel like, essentially, rather than like nice. he was born on this day and died on this day and that type of stuff. Like we wanted to go beyond that.
Well, what does he feel like then? I mean, I get a sense of it from having read the book, but for anybody listening or watching the show, what's your take on that?
Oh man, it's fun. It's all over the place. Like I said, chaos, fun. He's a lover. He's a fighter. He's kung fu movies. He's kaiju attacks. Like all types of running the gamut of like 70s 80s inspirations. Like if you've ever seen, well, if you've listened to his music, but if you've also seen like his music videos, they grab from like blaxploitation influences, that type of thing. So it's like, how do we do everything, which is kind of a lot to ask in his own graphic novel. But I feel like we did it in a pretty well, pretty well. Like there's a romance story like on the screen now. You're paging through a literal, like, I fell in love with a DJ romance story, which is very fun and cool, and the art is incredible.
Great,
love that.
Absolutely, and that's Felipe Sobrero. I was reaching for the artist name, and yeah, it's just an incredible like mix of stuff. There's a there's a dance battle with robots in one story. There's like a straight up like Tales from the Crypt dark horror story done by Man House, which if you're familiar with his art, he's like a very well-loved horror artist. Yeah.
So, and how do you land with that level of balance? Because it's hard to touch all those genres and have them sort of hold the, it's not three stories, but hold up the tripod from, you want the legs as far away as possible. I feel like a lot of anthologies either aren't built for that or just don't hit it, or they're like, we end up leaning too much one way. This feels like it really is that balance.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is where you find out I'm a bad editor, because I think the answer to your question is like accidentally, right? That
the best
like, by accident. It was I don't know. Like, I would love to say that like I had like a spreadsheet where I was like making X's and making sure it all fit.
Lie to us a little. You can lie. There's no fact check here. It's an era of lying. Let's do this.
I wish I was a better liar. I'm not as good on the lying part. But like I do have to go back to the basis of everything. I guess it's really balanced because we start from like a really good base. So the folks at Four Screen obviously have they know the license, they know ODB very well, so that's a good way to keep your head on straight. And then Ike Reed and David Gordon, who were one of the early co-writers, came in with a premise of, okay, well, let's break it down based on the tenets of hip hop. So if you look at the book, there are 5 tenets. It's emceeing, which is rapping, DJing, graffiti, breakdancing, did I say that one already? And knowledge. So those are the 5 tenets of hip hop, and there's 5 stories. So each one is sort of coded to one of those things.
There it is. Yeah. That's awesome.
And then also they had the vision of like hey, let's not, again, in speaking to and going back to like, they understand ODB very well. They knew that trying to do, all crime stories or something would not work out. Like trying to do all superhero stories or whatever would not work out. So it's like, that's why you get one of this, one of that, all the grab bag, right?
There's also a nod to the 5 boroughs in one of the stories as well. So keeping on the 5 theme.
Part of the 5 also too is we move around each borough. This is not a spoiler. This is actually what makes it very cool. But like each borough in this universe, in this book, it essentially, like, I mean, for the comic book fans who are definitely watching this, right? Like if you remember the Avengers Incursions thing, like imagine the incursions, but instead of worlds colliding, it's different boroughs colliding. So it's a borough where AI is prevalent. There's a borough where a corporate takeover has happened. Where there's a borough where there are ghosts walking around, that type of thing. So it's sort of baked in from the jump. Like you're able to do whatever, as you're going, right?
I don't know.
Pete, the boroughs are the 5 like different areas.
Don't start.
Sure, yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, New York.
Pete doesn't live in New York. Justin and I live in New York, but Pete doesn't know. Pete has
I have Marvel brain. I just assume everyone knows New York, and that's where everything happens.
We mostly
Pete, and we're referring to New York City, by the way, not the state, just so you're aware.
Yeah, and it's like how you have cornfields.
Chris,
or whatever,
I'm sorry,
it's
you
like
dragged
different
into
fields.
This is just stuff that has nothing to do with you, Chris. I hope you're all right.
How did you break it up by boroughs? I mean, maybe it was just happenstance, like you were saying earlier, but like your stories of the Bronx, if I recall correctly. How did you choose the Bronx?
What happened there? I think on that one, it was because the other ones were taken. So my story, even though like my story conceptually had my story, Four Screens had wanted to do this like superhero type story from the jump, but like since I was also editing the book, like I put that work to the side and I worked on the other stories first. Or we put the other stories together with the other writers, and then when it came down to it, it was like, okay, what's the last, what's the left on the table?
Left,
and it was,
You're the big brother of the group. You got to take on the scraps. You got to be the trailblazer.
Wait, were you going to say maybe it was more Manhattan focused, your story?
No, I think okay. If we had done it reversed, like,
I don't know what I'm talking.
You keep trying to guess what he's thinking. I'm like, Alex,
trying to do, Alex?
You're not hidden. It's not your lucky night. Let him say.
Absolutely,
let him talk.
No,
I think what you're trying to say is you like Manhattan the most.
If we were starting from jump with that story, maybe we might have said start with it in Brooklyn, right? Because ODB is very, Brooklyn and ODB go together. Brooklyn Zoo, like so. We might have started there, but that we had already placed a different. Concept there. So it was like, okay, moving on to the next one.
You're talking about anthologies being a little bit of your bread and butter. Mm-hmm. Why is that? And do you want to keep doing that? Or are you like, I want to tell longer stories now, or I want to facilitate bigger things?
Yeah, sure. No, this is an interesting question. Why was it a thing? Why was it a staple for me? Well, I was like I said, I mentioned I was a Marvel editor for a long time, and you only get a certain amount of books to do, but I really liked working like a maniac. So I was like, how do I make the meager, the few books I'm allowed to do on my own bigger and more involved? How do I make them harder for myself? And that's by turning every book into 5 books, right? Or 5 stories or whatever, you know what I mean? That type of thing. So that was like, that's why, if you look at, not to send people on a rabbit hunt, but like if you look at a lot of the books I edit, there's always a backup. There's always, it's always getting split into an anthology, whatever it is, because I was trying to like make more hay with like, a very small piece of the pie.
And is that to get more people involved? Is just for you like, oh, now I can do these 2 things here as opposed to just the one?
It's all of that. It's because I wanted to do more, and it's also like I got to know like 5 times more writers and artists than other people who I was working with at the same time, because you know what I mean. So I was just like, an insane, glutton for work person. So, that's I think I'm older and more tired now. So like I probably, I want to do fewer anthologies. And also, in fact, I won an Eisner last year. So I'm actually sort of trying
congrats.
to thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to sort of that seems like a good place to stop with the editing thing. So I'm trying to do more writing of stuff I don't edit at the same time.
Yeah. If you don't mind, what'd you win it for?
I won it for a book. It was the category was best archival comic for a book called All Negro Comics, the 75th anniversary edition, and it reprints the first Black comic by Black creators with Black characters. Like it was like the first Black comic of in history essentially, or in American history at least. And it's sort of like this very unknown, not many people know about it thing. And it's like very hard to find, there's only 10 copies in the world or whatever. And they're 1.5 slabs, you know what I mean? Like there, it was just hard to read. So I was like, how do I make this super available in
smart,
elementary school libraries basically.
Yeah.
So we did.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a great project. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And
wait, not to interrupt you, but just to ask more about that. How did you recreate it? Like, given that you have only the 1.5 slabs, how did you get it to a place where it was printable?
Yeah.
Did you have to go back in time and get the original, or
that would have been easier? That would have been easier. So I can't even, again, as an editor, you rely on much more talented friends, and so we had a scan, like a bad scan that someone had done, when they found one of these damaged, beat up copies, and we had a bad, scan of that, and I gave it to a friend of mine, Tony Washington, who's like an incredibly talented colorist. He's like, an early Wildstorm colorist, which
cool.
kicked off digital coloring essentially.
Yeah.
And so he recolored, but really it's like, he took what was there and, livened it up, fixed damaged spots, things like that. And he blew it up to, a printable version essentially.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons that you're here, since this book did come out in November, is there is a gathering of the creators happening next week. I just wanted to check, and I should have asked this before we were on air. It is going to be in West Hollywood. Is it still happening, and is everybody okay?
I hope everyone's okay. No one's called me to cancel.
Okay.
But it is at Book Soup, and Book Soup is still standing. So I think it's a go. If we show up and it's next Monday night. If we all show up and there's nothing, if it's not happening, we'll take over the parking lot or something. I don't know.
All right.
Nice,
Well, that's very ODB, I guess. Again, it's going to be Monday, January 27th at 7 p.m. at Book Soup, which is 8818 Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. So what can folks expect from that? What are the plans if Book Soup is in fact standing?
It'll be myself, and it'll be Jason Pierre, who's one of the other writers and also a TV writer. So he'll have, much more exciting things to talk about as well. And then the good folks at Four Screens Management will be there, and we'll probably, look at one of the stories more in depth, or maybe both of our stories more in depth. And the fun part will be taking questions. We're there to take questions and talk about the project and talk about our favorite ODB songs, whatever you guys want to do for an hour, we'll do.
Cool.
And do you obviously he had a lot of songs. Are there any plans for a sequel anthology, or like you said, are you kind of like anthologies on the back mirror now?
I don't know. I think there's definitely it's rich. There's definitely enough there that you could do a whole sequel book. I'll leave that up to the sales and Oni and Four Screens, but I'd do another one with them if they wanted to do it. Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Chris, anything else you want to plug before we let you go?
Let's see. We spoke about it very briefly, but I'm more of a writer these days, and one of the things that so I do a lot of Kickstarters, and so my next book on Kickstarter is called Commander in Chains. It's about a president who is framed for murder. Very exciting. If you liked the movie Air Force One, this is sort of like an Air Force One, but a comic book, I guess, instead of a movie. There's many other things I could have done there. But yeah, that's my next thing. And yeah, just if you're familiar with Kickstarter, if not, check it out. A lot of cool things out there. But search my name, Chris Robinson, and follow me. And I'm doing that. I'm doing tons of other stuff out there. And it's comics are so much fun. Love them. Yeah.
Agreed.
We agree. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Congrats on the book. And good luck next Monday. Have fun.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.
Later, man.
All right. Once again, that was Chris Robinson. The book is called ODB, A Lyrical Ruckus in the City. It's out now from Oni Press.
That's fun, man.
Just
Very
to give you
fun
the deets on the gig. Again, that's going to be Monday, January 27th at 7 p.m. at Book Soup, 8818 Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. If you are in the area, go check it out for a fun time.
It's a great cover too. Cool design, with the subway kind of for the ODB.
Yeah, it's
really cool.
Really fun. I will say, not me, of course, but if you don't know about ODB, you will still enjoy this book. Not me.
What a lesson. No, you knew.
Yeah, you're a big Wu-Tang.
But if you don't know, I love Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang's for the kids, right, Pete?
Yeah. That's what Stray Bullet said.
Yep, I read it in the comments. Now, unfortunately, our other guest, I just wanted to give him a shout out. Ben Kahn isn't here. I'm not 100% sure why. We'll try to track him down. Maybe he'll show up later in the show. But I do want to give a little plug before we move on for his book, Mr. Muffins, Defender of the Stars. It is an adorable all ages book. It's in stores tomorrow from Oni Press. Written by Ben Kahn, art by Giorgio Brooks. It's very, very cute. Definitely,
it's beautiful and it's a great story. And
I have a lot of questions about where Ben encountered the Mr. Muffins in his life.
Yeah, I mean, because
their life.
It seems like corgi life is real for him. You know what I mean?
Them. Sorry. Yes, I misgendered it first. My bad. But yeah, there you go. Definitely check that out. And we are going to move on with our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It is your audience questions. And for audience questions, all you got to do is drop a question in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. It can be about absolutely anything, and we'll get to it. But before we do, let's talk about what we're drinking tonight. I will mention Stray Bullet, Brett Macris.
Stray Bullies?
Had a drink, which is a hot cocoa because it is snowing in New Orleans right now.
We got out just in time.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
To Winter Wonderland. It is wild.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, the photos of
everywhere.
Bourbon Street, Frenchman Street down there is pretty crazy.
Yeah. But what are you guys drinking? Pete, I can't even begin to guess what you're drinking.
Oh, you can't even?
I can't even.
Wow. I don't have a garage, but I have garage beer.
There we go.
Wow. I think that should be illegal. That's just
Oh,
me.
wow. You don't think a carport counts?
Yeah. You need carport beer.
Yeah,
that's some fancy shit.
Yeah, go Buffalo, bro.
Go Buffalo, go Bills, drinking the official beer of upstate New York, even though it's made in Canada.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it does if you're from there.
But it does when it hits your mouth. And I paid extra for the bottles because it's better.
All right, flex on us. That's right. It's a bottle.
I mean, I'm just saying, just trying to give you the whole vibe. It's better out of a bottle. That's just the way we do it.
I agree.
We got a question here
from
Stray Bullet. Now that you have a 5-course tasting menu during the live show, is it weird that you don't have it now?
You know what, Stray? Yes, it is. And I don't appreciate this lack of very tasty food landing in my hand.
Yeah. Stray Bullet, I don't know if you know this, but my lifestyle went from when we were with you to now back to where it normally is, and it sucks down here. You know what I mean? I don't get amazing food all the time, so it blows. It's life sucks without you, man.
Oh my God! Wow,
that's so sweet.
There's a strong campaign to get Pete to move to New Orleans, and
I really think you should.
Alex is pushing it so hard.
I talked about it so many times to Justin privately.
Oh, I mean, you said it to him a bunch of times.
I also said it to you.
Yeah.
You would love it, though, Pete. You'd be perfect.
There's
there.
no question that I would love it. It's
Oh
just
my God. You would have the best time. You would be
The
like,
jalapenos.
You would 100%.
That's not the
there's the
thing,
jalapenos,
man.
and that's it. You would 100% be everybody's Uncle Pete. That's what they would 100% call you, and they'd be like, "Uncle Pete, here comes Uncle Pete." Even like old guys who are older than you, they'd be like, "That's Uncle Pete."
sweet. That's a reason move. You know what
No,
I mean?
everybody would be buying you drinks and
The
po'
New
boys
Orleans
and-
uncle.
Oh, it would be great. You'd be covered in beads all the time. Your hats would just get bigger and bigger and bigger and crazier.
Oh, man.
Yeah. You'd
Come
be
down.
the
Eventually you're
guy
like the
on a
Fisher King.
parade float. Exactly. You'd be get into crime. You'd become a crime lord. It'd be
That's
awesome.
dangerous.
Yeah, doing a ton of cocaine.
Cocaine.
Get
Oh,
shot
man.
down on a gator boat, probably. At the
Yeah,
end of
the
your life.
original powdered sugar is cocaine for your beignets.
That's how they used to make them.
Oh, man.
That's why they're so popular.
Schreckler says, when has someone talked to you about one of your podcasts without knowing you were the host? Never. I don't know. Has that ever happened to either of you?
Not really. But I will say, talking about doing this podcast, and then when someone actually looks it up and then they're impressed, is sort of a close version of that. The other dads in my kids' school, I was like, I do this podcast about comic books. They slowly admitted that they were into comics, and then they were like, weeks later, like, hey, I listened to that podcast. You guys talk to a lot of like big time comic people. I was like, yes, I'm not some regular podcaster. I've been doing it for 18 years. I'm an original. I'm an orig podcaster.
I mean, on that note, I don't have proof of this necessarily other than the guy who said this, but apparently comic book podcasting is 20 years old at this point. So we didn't start podcasting until 2011. We started the show in 2006. Is that right? Yes.
When we started it?
Yeah.
No idea. Yeah,
Something
I mean,
like
18 years. We're
Well,
coming
you
up
have
on
to
year
look
19.
back at that New York Times article. That's like,
Yeah, I got to look back on that. But my point being, like, we were right out the cusp there with, hey, I've got a brilliant idea. What if three guys talked about comics?
Yeah, exactly. But we're still standing.
Yeah.
Sitting, anyway. We're still sitting.
Barely.
We're sitting. We
I
got
know my
blankets
blanket.
on our laps. Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at you. Wow. Alex, that's also
I
an
think-
old man looking blanket.
to
Very much is.
to kind of answer this question a little bit, I think my favorite, well, not my favorite, one of my favorite moments from the New Orleans visit is having a nerd off with people who don't know how well we know comics. Like, that was fun, you know, like.
And winning, they gave up and had to leave the city.
The city.
It was funny because like these people were like, "Oh, you're nerds too," and kind of we had this nerd circle going, and then it was just like, "Oh, you guys have no idea how trouble you are." My crew rolls deep in the nerddom. Yeah, like
exactly.
we were ready for any question. It was
We look like cool jocks, but we
They wanted me
actually.
to join their trivia team. And I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I could be your Uncle Alex.
Yeah,
I guess
great.
we'll see.
Alex, you would thrive in the Big Easy.
Definitely not. Nat Townsend says, I stopped reading X-Men after the Krakoa era. Which X books you've been enjoying should I read to catch up? Great question.
Nope. No, you
we
don't.
are a
Great
couple
question.
You don't
of
need
months into From the
Enjoy the time
Ashes. So I think we got enough hindsight to talk about what's working.
Yeah. I mean, Uncanny X-Men came out strong, swinging. And then the last couple issues have been a little, we had the crossover, have been a little bit stranger, I feel like. But that book is still great. I enjoy that. NYX is one that started off sort of, I was like, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but I've really liked the growth of that book as well.
I kind of went the opposite direction with NYX. I really like the first couple of issues, and past two I've been okay with. The one that I really like, Exceptional X-Men, I think is really good. You guys seem maybe not quite as hot on that, but
It's true.
I don't know. It just sort of like
The Storm book is insanely
Storm
great.
is,
Storm.
yes,
Chris
great call,
Robinson gives a shout out to the Cable book. That also was enjoyable.
Also
Chrome,
enjoying
yeah.
that.
It's great stuff. But yeah,
Cable and
Storm is definitely a must read. Obviously, all three of us can agree on that.
Yeah.
One thing that I think they're doing nicely is like they are having an array of different books that feel different. So even if one isn't hitting or 5 aren't hitting, there's probably going to be something you like. I will say on the opposite end of the spectrum, though, every week when I'm putting together a stack, I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of X-Men books they're putting out.
There are a lot. And they're also all titled similarly. So it is like a blur of
It's a little tough. Tillman gives a shout out to X Factor as well.
I enjoy X Factor as well. Yeah. That's another book that I think people, some love less.
X-Force also, I keep going back and forth on. Like, started really strong in the first 2 issues, got really muddy, but I'm starting to like it again. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
You're so muddy and you don't even know it, is what you say about that one.
Oh my God. Yep. You're like this big bear, man.
Edward Doherty says, what are your top 100 favorite comics of 2025 so far? Great question.
Great question.
Edward. We actually have a show coming up about that. We're going to be talking about our top 1,000.
That's called The Stack, Alex. We reveal about 100 comics every episode of that.
Yeah. When you were in New Orleans, a few people talked to you about the shows that you've done podcasts for, I think. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got... It was nice being around people who were like interested, and then we talked about it. They were like, that is cool.
What are these questions tonight? This doesn't seem like a question. This also doesn't seem like a question. One time I started a new job, and the previous guy left some Wizard bags and comics in his old desk. Would I meet the dude and ask him about the...
The question is finished later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Asked him about them, but he pretended not to know what I was talking about. Why?
Ooh, interesting. Well, there could be a couple reasons. First off, maybe he had secret codes in the sides of the panels that he wrote that maybe Doherty didn't pick up on, and he was worried if questioned further he would reveal that, and he wanted to kind of lean clean from that job and not address that at all.
Yeah, that's a
or he is ashamed of his nerd a little bit, and maybe he's not as out in the open about it. You know what I mean? So respect him where he's at, and if he doesn't want to talk about his nerddom, then, don't push him.
Maybe he reads the Wizard for the Centerfolds and doesn't read the articles.
Wow, that's an old man joke there.
Not a joke.
Not a joke. Legitimately was Wizard Magazine. I miss Wizard Magazine. Like, I don't know who are the hottest letterers in the industry, like physically hottest.
Wait, are you? Come on, man. You don't really miss Wizard? Wizard was a great mag.
I don't know.
Wow.
No. A lot of people worked very hard. I know a lot of people who did work on Wizard Mag, but like...
It was a fun thing to read.
Going for Maxim magazine, but in the comic book industry, not something that should exist now in any form whatsoever.
Well, I do think the Wizard started it to be, it got that way by the end of it. It used to be much more of a direct comic book magazine.
Yeah, it
was more like Entertainment
the Nintendo
Weekly.
Power.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It started off as Nintendo, and as we all know, Nintendo Power started out great. You know what I mean? Like you went there for the cheat codes. Like you wanted.
I never cheated.
No, I went there for the reporting. Like they had.
I
don't know where
I went there to be like, how do I pass Castlevania? This game is so freaking hard.
They went right to the source, right? Simon Belmont himself.
What a horrible night to have a curse, he said.
Great question here from Adriel Moreland. What are some series that have been dropped from the stack but you kept reading independently?
Great question. I have a bone to pick about this very topic.
Will that be addressed in this week's stack?
In this week's The Stack. But a little preview, it's the book The Flash, which has been dropped from our stack. Which I've been
very happy about. Very much enjoying that.
Yes.
So enjoy it being dropped.
Do you want the answer of why I dropped it from the stack?
Yes. Yes, I do, Alex. Here in front of all of us.
Yeah.
Well, because I tend to drop things from the stack. There's a lot of things I drop from the stack that I really like, but generally you guys don't like. And then we have a discussion where I'm like, here's where I really like this book. And you guys are like, all right. And that to me is not good for the podcast. Similarly, frankly, we've been getting that for The Flash where you talk about really liking it. And then me and Pete say the same thing over and over and over again. And again, I think like there's a place to talk about the stuff, but if we're getting the same discussion repeatedly, personally, I don't think is as interesting for a review show. We should be adding something new, adding something fresh. And it's tough because I'd love to talk about every book all the time so we can just give them their tribute, put the names out there, because the comic book industry needs all of that love. But we have a limited amount of time.
Justin, I don't think what you appreciate is the time and energy that Alex puts into cultivating such an impressive stack.
You seem like you're being sarcastic, Pete, but that is a genuine thing that I
am being genuine.
Hard.
I don't appreciate you trying to disperse what I'm speaking from the heart here, because like he mixes it up like Marvel and DC. He's making sure there's a mixture of different, it's not all big two.
What's happening here? Something's happening here.
What is your agenda?
What's nice is he creates a nice little journey for people to go on, whether they choose to follow the stack exactly or not. But it's a nice option.
Does Alex's son have a gun to your head, Pete? What's happening? Why are you talking so nicely?
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with this. So I'll tell you what, we're going to put audience questions on pause for a second because our second guest is actually...
Wow, I love a mid-audience questions break. We'll come back.
Here's my audience question. When are we going to bring in Ben Kahn? The answer is right now. Ben,
welcome.
Hey, everyone. So sorry about that. But
it's one of those days, bro. It's cool.
Pete was late, too, and now he's the late one on the podcast.
As Limp Bizkit, I think, said, it's just one of those days.
You have permission to just tear into me. Like, you get to take all that and just... and now I get to be...
Ben, very unprofessional, man. What the F, dude? We're trying to run a show here. We're trying to support you. I mean,
I deserve this. I deserve this.
Ben eating up his criticism.
It's great to have you, man.
Let's talk about Mr. Muffins, Defender of the Stars, which is in stores tomorrow from Oni Press. Adorable book, like we were saying earlier on the show. Very fun. About a corgi who gets magic space powers and fights in an intergalactic war.
Or you could just say corgi, because I think all corgis can do that.
I mean, that was kind of going to be my question, was there any choice other than corgi for this book?
Ooh, great question.
I mean, during the course of my research, I found out that all corgis can shoot lasers.
It's true.
So if you haven't seen your corgi do it, you just haven't trained it well enough to do that.
Right. The time hasn't come.
It's interesting you say that, because legally Laser Cats was going to be Laser Corgis, but then they couldn't do it because they didn't want to reveal the corgi secret. So they legally had to change it to cats, but now...
Very, very litigious big corgi.
Yeah.
Yeah, big corgi. Because of the queen. R.I.P.
But that was always kind of in my head from the beginning, was that it was a corgi. I think if it was one of those, like really capable and responsible dog breeds, like if a German Shepherd or Husky gets powers to save the world, it's like, oh, that's a Husky. It can pull sleds. It's got this.
Yeah.
Like little corgi pops up like with its tiny little legs to save the world. I think that was the right contrast that I was looking for.
I will say I have recently gotten a dog, and so I'm at a dog park a lot, and corgis as animals don't make sense. They are insane. No. It's unbelievable.
My favorite is anytime it's like a something corgi mix, because it just looks like a corgi is trying to like disguise itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's really funny. Corgi in a little fur coat.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Stray Bullet shouting out Cowboy Bebop as a nice corgi reference as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, also, I grew up with Cowboy Bebop, so...
there it is. That's the real reason.
Anything else.
Yeah.
Now, my question for you, Ben, was... Is there a corgi in your life? Because is there a Mr. Muffins in your life that really was the direct?
There is. Let me grab. I don't have a dog.
What is he grabbing?
Was he grabbing that?
Yeah.
This is going to be a trial.
God. This is going to be...
There it is.
Come on.
I've got an orange and white cat that's about the size of a corgi.
Yeah, it's kind of corgi-esque.
Corgi, and he is my personal Mr. Muffins. He is not one for adventures, but he does give me my inspiration when I just need a really cute thing to do something cute.
Cuteness
overload
lowering.
What did you say that cat's name was? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Blargy. It is a nonsense word that has no meaning other than it is very fun to say out loud.
It sounds like corgi a little bit.
Honestly, it was a name that me and my partner had originally picked out for a theoretical corgi, but then we're coming away from the cat shelter. We're like, I don't know, he's big enough, he's the right color, seems friendly enough. Let's give him the corgi name.
A corgi adjacent cat. Perfect choice.
Other than the corgi, there's a lot more going on in this book with the alien invasion. You got some stuff going on in Earth. There's also a journey for our main human character to really come to understand their own place in the universe. What was important thematically for you to capture in this book?
So, and this is really where my cat comes in, is that kind of, that theme kind of coalesced around responsibility. In a lot of ways, especially, Ruben's, he's 11, so he's starting to be that age where he still feels very much just like a kid who wants to mess around, but some actual responsibilities are starting to kind of be expected of him. And, I kind of got blargy not long before I started writing this, and that was definitely teaching me all about, that's not just all belly rubs and pets, that there's responsibility, that taking care of a pet, you owe it to the pet when you bring it into your life. So
I gotta say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you now.
Well, no, I want you to finish and be able to finish your thought. I don't want to cut you off if you had something else to say.
Stop being so polite. Just ask your question, Pete.
Were you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, great. Yes. I'm just making sure. Anyways,
Yeah.
So...
Sorry, Pete, I was making a point, actually. If you could pause for a second.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
My point was, Pete, if you could ask your question.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. So what's nice is in this book, you have like this kind of adorable kid. And I think a lot of times when you have a story, sometimes it kind of makes sense as you're reading, like why they would pick this certain age or this certain kind of kid for this adventure. And I really think the kid connection with the younger alien makes so much sense. When they're talking about their names, and Ruben is like, my dad named me after his favorite sandwich, and the alien laughs. Like, that was such a great connecting moment. I just wanted to kind of know a little bit about your process. First off, I just wanted to compliment your writing. It's very funny and very enjoyable. But like, what was the kind of germ of this story, if you will? Was it this kind of like alien kid connection where like, kind of going through similar things but on different worlds type of thing? Or what was the original germ of this?
The original germ of like the whole book is just, what if Star Wars but corgi?
Oh, nice.
A dream we've all had.
Great elevator pitch, my man.
What if Goku was a corgi instead? But no, you're exactly right. Giving them that kind of, I wanted the Ruben, our main human, and Lieutenant Kasara, our teenage alien character, to kind of have that backstory that had that commonality but different. So Kasara, very much kind of a refugee who has lost her world, and Ruben, who is more the child of immigrants, and him learning that his heritage is something to be valued and not ignored as part of his arc. But both in that way that they both have this deep experience or relationship to where they came from and where they're at, that just gives them that place that they can really start to build bonds in the book, where they can kind of become these close friends after, the book begins with our alien crashing and stealing your dog.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, this is a broader question. We've talked about this here before on the show, but like, what is important to capture when you're writing a book for 11-year-olds that's maybe different from writing for 8-year-olds or 14-year-olds?
I think maybe with 11-year-olds, I think you're really at an age where, and this was very much my approach to writing it, I think, you have to make things, age appropriate. This is not an age where you're doing, swears or heavy violence, but this is not an age where you need to dumb things down. You don't need to talk down to your audience. I think at that age, yes, use common sense to know what's appropriate, but I went into this with being like, you know what, they don't need their hand held. Even at that age, this is an audience that I can trust to understand jokes, understand character arcs, understand like the ins and outs of the plot. So I would say is just at that age, have faith in your audience. They can understand a story just as well as an adult audience by that age.
And what about, like you said, you're dealing with the theme of friendship. There was certainly a point when I was wondering when maybe you were going to go for some sort of romance or burgeoning romance thing. Was there any thought about going in that direction, or was it always just a friendship type thing?
It was always, no. There was really never a romance, not between those two characters. Yeah. No, I always kind of envisioned them as having more of a older sister, little brother type of relationship by the end.
I wanted to ask you about the art. Obviously, that was not you. It was Giorgio Brooks, but that is so important in terms of capturing the aliens and the space, of course, but also just the corgi, Mr. Muffins himself. So what was the back and forth like there? What was important to capture visually?
Yeah, I mean, so much was just, as soon as I saw Giorgio's art, I'm like, this is it. This is the style I've been envisioning the story in. Let's go. And God, did he just go above and beyond? Like that page where the ship, where you first see Plant Voltaria, and Giorgio just designed these incredible multicolored forests of giant mushrooms. Like that wasn't in the script. I just had the script Alien World, and he's the one who gives it the fills it with like the pink skies and all that. So he just gave it so much life, and coming up with all these crazy fun alien designs, like especially this is all Giorgio, the axolotl influence in Lieutenant Cassara.
Yeah,
I think that was the character where we ended up doing the most designs. That was the character we took a while, like the longest to just kind of really nail down. And it's funny because I think the initial design was introduced like some of the axolotl ideas. Then we moved away to some different kinds of designs and ended up coming back to the axolotl in the end, which is where we kind of finalized the character.
Nice.
Yeah.
The art is so joyful and playful, and I think it just echoes the writing, like Pete was talking about, and the literal corginess, the puppiness of the book and the story. Like it's such a nice package.
Yeah, the vibe jumps off the page for real. Yeah. It's great.
All credit to Giorgio for drawing a dog that made me go like, oh.
Thank you for reenacting that. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that happens all the time, I bet.
Yes.
Every time you crack the book.
Live look at me with every new page in color.
Given the book is coming out tomorrow, do you have any plans to, put on your sunglasses and put on your baseball cap and head out to the store? So you don't get recognized, to be clear.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Of course. I wouldn't get mobbed. I mean, there's a lot of happy dog owners out there.
Yeah.
I go to the dog park, and they're just throwing milk bones at my feet.
And you're like, I don't eat these. I don't even have a dog.
You're like, I have a cat. Thank you.
No. So one event that I'm excited for is that I'll be at Books of Wonder on February 11th. So they have a special link where you can pre-order a signed and personalized copy on the Books of Wonder NYC website.
Cool.
But yes, no, my comp copies for conventions haven't arrived yet, so I need to be rushing out tomorrow, if only to have like someone on my bookshelf. My mom has her copy. My mom's copy arrived this afternoon. Man. She was texting me photos, so I still need to get a copy now.
Yeah.
Well, as long as mom's taken care of,
Exactly. That's the important part. Listen, Ben, the book is great. Before I let you go, is there, obviously this is the big thing on your mind right now, but is there anything else you want to plug?
If you want to hear me on doing some more podcasts, I'm on a weekly horror movie review podcast called Progressively Horrified with Jeremy Whitley and Emily Martin. So, Progressively Horrified, new episodes every Friday. Awesome. And thank you so much for having me on to talk Mr. Muffins.
Oh, congrats. It's a great book.
So much, especially the biggest apologies for my tardiness.
No, never.
It's cool. You were right on time. So
yeah,
all
exactly.
good.
It's
Thank you
very
so much.
corgi-like to be late. You know, corgis show up when they're needed.
Exactly. Right on time. Thank you, Ben. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Take care.
Later, Ben.
All right. Once again, the book is called Mr. Muffins, Defender of the Stars. It's out tomorrow from Odie Press. Definitely check it out. And we're going to move on to our next section, which is trivia.
Oh, is that next?
And that is next.
I thought we were going to go back to audience questions. You paused it. I thought maybe we were.
Oh, should we go back? We'll do very quick
Just see if anybody else had any more questions.
We did have a
A
couple
lot
of
of
others.
corgi talk.
Well, here's one, actually, Pete, since you wanted a question, this is one I assume specifically for you from Hartford 1988 over on Twitch. Who would you date, marry, or spend one night with of these three? Ted Lasso, Roy Kent, Jamie Tart.
Oh my God, that's the triumphant right there. I mean, that's the three. Well, so what are my choices?
Date, marry.
Have you never heard of this before?
Well,
What's this game?
well, no, I mean, there's other versions of this, gentlemen.
But I think
okay?
it's all the one
It's
thing.
all the same thing. It's whether
Yeah.
you're saying it cleanly or not.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
In this case, it's date, marry, or spend one night with. And to be clear, they don't say this, but it is a sexual night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Geez. I guess we'll go marry Ted Lasso,
Of course.
date Roy Kent, and then one night with Jamie Tart.
Wow. Okay. Okay, Rebecca.
Nice. Wow. Pete's heart grew 3 times. Stray Bullet asks, what is Justin shirt? I'm repping the Adirondack State Park.
Oh, yeah, dude. Get it.
Upstate's
comic.
finest.
Oh, man.
This is from Michael T. Can the Stack podcast be 4 hours long to allow for more books? Potentially it could
Michael
be.
T., what are you trying to do right now,
I'll
bro?
challenge
Whose
all
side
of you. I've
are
said
you
this
on?
before. But see if you can identify the point of the stack when Pete goes to sleep.
It happens every week, and it's a little different, but it's also a little the same.
Listen, the stack sometimes creeps bigger and bigger, and we do a lot of podcasts on one night, and it gets later and later in the evening, and I try to chug as much Mountain Dew as I can, but I also want to live a long life, so it's a tough balance. I do the best that I can.
If you want to live a long life and chug Mountain Dew, you're already doing it wrong.
Damn it!
You're already going
I
backwards.
blew it.
And here, we got one last one from Edward Doherty. My 2-year-old likes the Spidey cartoon so much that he started calling his mom Aunt May. She dislikes it, but
bet.
I've been secretly encouraging him to continue. Is that wrong?
Wow.
Edward Doherty, I got to shout out. I love the tenor of all your questions tonight are very like Dear Abby, and these are the questions we need on a weekly basis. This is what I'm waiting for.
Yes.
Well, first off, Edward Doherty, the question is, how much do you want to fight? You know what I mean? Because if you're just pissing off your mom, it's not going to end well. You know what I mean?
Is it his wife? Is that what he's saying?
Call
his 2-year-old
mom.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
mom.
Yes.
That's mom. Yeah, let me translate that word for you. That's mom.
Yeah, that's not wife.
No, but it's the kid's mom, which is wife. This isn't a logic problem.
I see what's
Okay,
going on.
let's do a little date.
Oh, my God.
No, that's not wrong. I say, especially it's your partner. Get loose. That's fun.
As long as the mom is not actually upset about it or going to be upset at you, you can continue.
Yeah, I mean, if you
but
like sleeping on the
it's
couch,
funny.
keep it up, bro.
It's worth. Sometimes you
worth it. I
gotta
think it's pretty funny.
poke the bear. Edward Doherty, she's not my mom. I didn't marry my mother.
Okay, not what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. Regardless, there you go. That's
So
it
glad
for-
we went back to audience
So glad we
questions.
went back. That's it for audience questions.
Yeah, I mean that genuinely. Yes, it is good that we went back.
And now it's time for trivia, and for that we're going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
All right, this is the part we give back to the lovely audience. It's an opportunity to win $25 free dollars to Midtown Comics Online, because if you had $25, you'd probably go to a comic book shop, Support your
That's
local
right. If
comic
I
book
ever
shop.
have that amount of money, that's where I'm gonna go.
Oh, yeah. All we need is a first hand up, a hey, pick me, a, whatever, and we can give you
If
the
you want to
quiz
throw
and you
another
get
question
$25.
into, rather than the hand up, you just ask another question, Edward Doherty. anything.
Well, here in the meantime, while we're waiting for somebody to volunteer, Stanley says, "Will you go to Captain America on Valentine's Day?" I think he's asking us.
Yeah. Did all three of us, Stanley?
Yes.
Wow, you dog.
Date.
Yeah, I don't play fuck. I don't play fuck, marry, kill. I play fuck.
Wow. Wow.
That's where it ends up
that's
eventually.
fun.
Let's be honest. Straight Bullet says me if no one else. So yes,
Great.
let's go
Straight
for
bullets.
it.
Straight bullet. Anything we can do to give back.
Yeah, exactly. Today's trivia is about the award-winning graphic novel Pride of Baghdad and a small nod to the legend, Bob Uecker, R.I.P. All right.
What?
Please
Bob
listen.
Uecker, who invented euchre. Edward Doherty calling the shot. A, and the movie's Biodome.
Oh, man. All right. Please listen to all three options before making your selection, stray bullies. Question number 1. The Pride of Baghdad is written by whom? Is it A, Brian K. Vaughan, B, why do you hate Gary so much, C, F, Gary Gray?
Yeah, I always play F, marry, kill Gary Gray.
Yeah, smart.
A?
Stray
Is it
bully
A?
is correct. Yes, it is
right.
A. Here we go. Question number 2. Who gave this comic the award of Best Graphic Novel of 2006? Was it A, IGN, B, if your name was Michael, I wouldn't have given you the job, C, Marty Myers?
I see. Okay, because his name would be Michael Myers, then.
Yeah, that's correct.
The guy from
Nice.
Halloween.
Yeah, there you
Not
go.
the comedian from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. I give that guy the job all day and night. And
That's
Stray
how's
bully
it-
is correct as A.
That has a new comic book club T-shirt that says "fuck." Get it in the store. Get it in the store.
So many of those.
Yeah. Just a
make
t-shirt
some
that
money.
says fuck. You gotta constantly explain that. Oh, fun. All right. Question number 3.
Wait, should it have like Ted Lasso, Roy Kent, and Jamie Tart Hetz over it?
No,
Or is that
no, it should not.
That's very confusing.
Fuck,
That'll
fuck.
kill with all my dad
I
friends
like
at school.
Tillman saying it's a bananas as fuck. That's fun. All right.
Yeah.
Last
In the
one.
comic book fun.
The graphic novel is about a blank who escapes during the 2003 attack on Baghdad. Is it A, Pride of Lions, B, I Asked for a Dresser, not Chris Chesser? C.
Wait, why are we doing Pride of Baghdad? Pete?
Yeah, why is that?
Because I like that book and I wanted to give it a shout out. I thought that was clear up front.
Who's that? Is that Tom King?
It's Brian K. Vaughan. Are you
Brian K.
listening
Vaughan.
at all? That was the first to answer.
It's funny, Alex. I thought it was Tom King at first too.
Oh my God.
What was the one that he did? One of his first books was
He did also of Baghdad. It was but a soldier.
Shame of Baghdad.
No, not Shame. But something. That's when we had him on the show for that book.
Yeah, that's right. Baghdad Dudes, I think it was.
Nope.
All right.
D, I want to take the secret quiz.
Ooh, he wants to take the secret quiz. He's doubling down. It's not D, but it is A. We'll still let you win anyway.
Sheriff of Babylon. That was the Tom King book. Thank
close.
you, Hartford,
Not even close.
1988.
Okay, and if he does want to take the secret quiz, what is the password? You have 3 options. Because as we all know, there are 3 quizzes.
There are 3 quizzes or 3 passwords?
There are 3 passwords and 3 quizzes.
Oh my God, how do you even
Made
keep
this
it
so complicated.
Whatever, man. People do things in their downtime.
Oh, is the password Sheriff of Babylon?
No, that wasn't Stray Bullet's answer.
Murder
Falcon. No, that is not
Did
correct.
you just check your notes?
He has it.
I have it written down, dude. I don't
Oh, he
wanna
just
forget.
flashed
I
it.
just showed it.
Ah!
Zoom in. Zoom in.
Oh no! Oh my God, that's all the answers. If somebody caught that, we're in trouble.
Well, good thing it's not on video.
We're in trouble. Define trouble. How bad could it get? Be honest with me. How bad could it get?
Shugler's cracking me up today.
Great. Congratulations, Stray Bullet. You're going to get $25 to Midtown Comics. We'll shoot that over to you or shoot us an email. We'll get it over to you. Did you already say the...
Nope. But
Man, everyone in the comments is killing it right now.
yeah. But we're talking about the 1989 sports classic Major League.
Nice.
Edward Doherty, password, is it CH33S3
That's his ATM password.
This is me we're dealing with. I wouldn't make anything that complicated, but
He hates
No, that's James Tynan. That was actually the original name of World Tree.
cheesesteak.
Cheesesteak, yeah. Very different book. All right.
Oh, no, Straight Bullet says he's going to zoom in later. He's going to have all the answers.
Well, listen,
Pete,
there's a lot of new comics that are coming out tomorrow.
Maybe my finger was covering it.
What are you guys looking forward to, Pete?
Maybe your finger was covering it.
I tell you what I'm looking forward to, because I haven't read it yet, Alex, and it's Absolute Wonder Woman #4 and Godzilla Monster Piece Theater #3.
Oh, Alex's answer. I mean, I have to say Amazing Spider-Man #66.
You've been looking forward to that for months.
Yes, the Black Cat Spidey kiss on the cove. I am here for it. And I'm also looking forward to, I mentioned Uncanny X-Men earlier. Great, one of the better X-Men books. But I also want to shout out Black Hammer Spiral City. #3 is coming out. The Black Hammer universe has just been ascending in my stack over the last couple of years, and I get excited anytime that's in there.
Yes, you did take my Godzilla's Monster Piece Theater pick, but that's okay. If you haven't been reading that book, it is absolutely bonkers, basically pitting Godzilla versus the Great Gatsby. This final issue is teeing up for the cover a bunch of classic movie monsters. That's crazy. Lawful #7 from Boom Studios by Greg Pak and Diego Galindo. Really great, really thoughtful fantasy book that feels very timely in terms of what it takes and what it means to be a good person, but it's also fun, and there's big action and great creature design. And the other one that I was going to shout out, Little Batman Month 1, #3 is coming out from DC Comics. This is spinning off of the Prime Video movie by Morgan Evans, and the art in particular by John McKell is absolutely adorable. I like the movie, I like Morgan's stuff, but I am sort of flabbergasted how much I really, really am enjoying this book. And folks, that is it for this week's show. A couple of people we want to thank. We want to thank Ben Kahn for coming on, talk about Mr. Muffins, Defender of the Stars, out tomorrow from Oni Press. Also, Chris Robinson for talking about ODB, a Lyrical Ruckus in the City. Also from Oni Press, if you are in LA, Book Soup, January 27th at 7 p.m. Go check that out. Next week on the show, Hugh Dendrad is going to be here to talk about The Murder Next Door, and Elisa Quitney is going to be here to talk about Hal. Comic Book Club News, our daily news podcast. Check that out Monday through Friday. Patreon.com/comicbookclub. Support this show and all the shows we do. You can subscribe on Apple, Android, Spotify, or the app of your choice. Comic Book Club on Blue Sky. Comic Book Club Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Forever long, they're all around. comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
Yeah, Pete giving us that MTV from the 90s look.
That's a hint. It's a hint to one of the passwords.
You already gave the answers, Pete. It's over.
Occasionally they'll let that special guest speak. So grab your written hammer, don't be late for it, 'cause their girlfriends can barely tolerate it. Comic Book Club, Comic Book Club, Comic Book Club.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Stay warm out there.
Good night. 11 inches of snow in New Orleans.
Take care of yourself.